Hello, hello, friends. Thank you so much for tuning in today on this lovely Friday. And of course, we have the amazing Steven with me too. We're going to chat a whole lot about Relay FM and about his story and so much more that's going on in the future. So, again, if y'all don't know me, I am Ashley. I am Tiltify's community manager. I do all the fun community things and I get to host amazing chats like this on our Tiltify channel and on YouTube for our community spotlights. So, make sure you check those out as well. And if you want to keep up with Tiltify's social media, we have some pretty cool posts on TikTok and Twitter and all that fun stuff. So make sure you keep up with us there. There's all the links for you to follow. And we also have a Relay FM's Twitch channel on our Control Plus stream kit where you can directly follow them on Twitch. Okay. And if you want to check out their shows, you can do exclamation relay FM and chat. Boom, we went through all the commands and everything in under a minute. I'm so proud. Woo! There we go. But let's start with the introduction of Steven. I'm so happy to have you here. We just wanted to get to know a little bit about you and your role at Relay FM.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for having me. It's a fun way to close out a week, hanging out on a stream with some people. Yeah, I'm the co-founder of Relay FM. We're a podcast network of about 30 different shows at this point. Work with about 45 different people around the world, and our shows started out really covering consumer technology, but we've spread out since then to also cover software development, design, the creative arts, productivity. So the way we kind of think about it is we're nerdy and obsessive about a bunch of stuff, and we think our listeners are too.
I love it. I love it. And how long has Relay FM been around again?
Relay FM just turned 7 last month, so we're firmly in first grade, and you know, reading and writing and coloring in the lines, all that stuff.
Oh, that is super, super cool. Can you give us like some examples of what you've talked about in the last couple months? Some topics?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of what I focus on in my shows is sort of Apple and their ecosystem. And as we're
Mm,
recording this and streaming this, there's new iPhones next week. Probably they have an event, so there's always a lot of stuff running up to that. And then of course we'll cover the whatever they announce. Um,
mm.
but another show that I'm on, we cover the space industry, which of course is very busy. There's a
Oh,
St. Jude tie in there too, which we can talk about. But it's a very busy industry, as well, covering private space flight, what NASA's doing, what its partners are doing, and then sort of on the whole, the entire tech industry, all the different angles that Relay covers across all of its various shows. I'm only on
mhm.
a handful, we got 30. The whole technology industry is really wrestling with the work from home, sort of change that's happening in a lot of these big companies, what that means for consumer
Mhm.
technology, And so
Mhm.
it's been a lot of upheaval in a lot of ways. I think in a lot of ways, good upheaval. I think these tech companies maybe had some culture or some workplace things that needed to improve, and work from home is an opportunity to do that. So we've been covering a lot of those stories as well.
Wow. I love this. And I kind of want to know how, how you got into the tech industry and why
Sure.
you have those discussions.
Yeah, I mean, for me, was interested in the Mac in particular since high school. I did the high school newspaper thing, and then was an editor of my college newspaper. And for me, I kind of viewed technology as a way to express and to produce an idea and let someone else receive it, right? So back in those days, for me, it was a newspaper. That makes me sound really old, but that's okay. Um, but I went to school and got a journalism degree, but then had an IT career for quite a long time. Worked as a genius in an Apple store for a while. Consulted for Apple for a while, and then worked in the nonprofit sector as an IT director for 5 years, and then it kinda came to a point where the podcasting that my partner and I had been doing as a hobby kind of had grown enough where we thought we can make it a business, and so now I've sort of been able to merge my education and my career into this weird, like, talk about the technology thing that we do on Relay, and thankfully, we've been able to do that ever since.
Wow, that is so cool that you are in the IT field because I was as well. I worked at a school district just
Mhm.
doing IT work, but I really loved it. I did want that to be a career at one point, but I said, maybe later in life. But
Sure.
that's really inspiring. I love that you love Apple products too. I don't know much about them other than an iPhone, but do you have any Macs still in your home or any
Oh, yeah.
Apple devices that you
Well,
keep on you?
there's like 30 behind me on this wall. I've got a little bit of a collection.
Oh, I
Uh,
love it.
30, that's a way small number for what's behind me. But yeah, I mean, I use a Mac every day. That's what I use for all my production work at Relay.
Oh.
My workflow, my personal workflow is all Mac based. Most people we work with are too. Our editors work on Macs, but we've also got Windows and Android people on Relay and who listen to the shows. We love all nerds, is what I'm saying. Someone's out there still using a Palm Pre. You're my person too. But yeah, my personal workflow is still very Mac centric, and I think it probably always will be. Even though here on my streaming, that's a PC because that's the way you
Yeah,
can't stream
right.
without RGB in your computer, and you can't put
Exactly.
RGB in a Mac. So
Not yet, at least.
I mean, you could cut a hole in
Yeah.
the side of it. A friend of mine did try that; it didn't go very well.
I wanna see how that turned out for them. I wish I got to see that. That's awesome. Well, you're kinda inspiring me to go buy a Mac now so I
Do
can
it. It's a great
have an
time.
Apple product. Yeah, I love my iPhone, so why wouldn't I like a
Yeah,
Mac? And
there you go.
everything is intertwined with FaceTime and everything, so that's
Mhm.
cool. Maybe I can ask you for setup and how to use that thing because
Hit
I don't
hit me up.
understand. Yeah, you have the red, the yellow, and the green circles, and I
Yep.
don't know what they mean.
It's
Maybe
just
the
like a
red.
stoplight.
Hold on.
Close,
Oh, yep.
minimize, and maximize. Just.
Okay, so red is to close out,
Close the window. Mhm.
yellow is to minimize,
Mhm.
green is to
Green
maximize.
is to maximize.
Oh, okay, we're learning something today,
Man,
chat. I love
this is
it.
good. We're doing good work here.
That's awesome. Yeah, I do need to invest in a Mac, and they have really good editing software. So,
Absolutely.
I forget what it's called, the
Uh,
main editing
yeah,
video
Apple
software.
has Final Cut Pro, for
Final Cut
video and
Pro.
Logic
Yeah.
Pro for audio. I use both. I know a lot of people are in the
Okay.
Premiere camp, and Premiere runs great on the
Mhm.
Mac too.
Okay.
Um, Final Cut kinda thinks the way I think, and I've used Logic for podcast editing for so long. I'm sure you're like this too, and a bunch of people viewing, when you use an application so much and like it's burned into your fingertips. Right? It's like I don't actually know the shortcut to do something, but my hands know what it is, right? And so
Correct.
once you
Yes.
kind of get that baked in, it's hard to switch tools.
And on a keyboard, it's command instead of control.
Hmm.
Okay. Okay. Now,
You can
yeah,
do it.
that's gonna
I
be a
believe in
lot
you.
to. You believe in me? Okay.
I
Yeah.
do.
I gotta invest. I gotta invest.
There you go.
Well, I guess so. I'm assuming you have the actual desktop Macs. not just a laptop Macs, if
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
saying that
I'm a desktop
terminology.
person.
Okay, yeah, and I know they have the really big screen, so that would be nice to have for
Yeah.
editing. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
It's fantastic. I've got a laptop for, like well, in the before days when we would travel and do live shows,
Mhm,
but I also really like working at my desk, like, I don't I know a lot of people, like, just work on their laptop anywhere. I like to be at my desk in the chair, with the
mhm,
speakers, like, when I'm actually doing production work, and so having a
mhm,
desktop makes that pretty easy, and you don't have to unplug and replug stuff all the time, so, I've been a desktop person for a long time, and I know that's
mhm.
sort of the minority because most people want the flexibility of a notebook, but for me, the desktop gets the job done, so.
Yeah, for that kind of work, I would say desktop too. And I forget on Mac, they're on the opposite side. They're on the left side for the windows, for the maximize, minimize too.
That's right, they're on the left-hand side, where
Mm.
Windows has it on the right.
Oh, that's gonna be interesting to get used to. I'm gonna
Yeah.
be like, "Where are the buttons?" "Oh, they're on the left side."
They're
Oh,
somewhere. Well, they're
they're
bright colors, you
somewhere.
can't miss them, they're
Can't
like a
miss them.
stoplight, so, yeah,
Okay, cool. Yeah, that will definitely be an investment for me, and I will
there you
keep you
go.
updated on that.
Let me know.
Yes. And, we have you here today because of your incredible work for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital since 2018. You have been doing work with them and fundraising.
Mhm.
And I want to talk a little bit more about that and why you chose to fundraise for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm also happy to give more Mac tips. Yeah, St. Jude's really important to me, and for a bunch of reasons. I live in Memphis, Tennessee, which is where St. Jude is located. So my whole life growing up, I'd always heard about it. You kind of see St. Jude families around town. But 12 years ago, my wife and I's oldest son was diagnosed with a brain tumor. He was just 6 months old. We took him to his well baby checkup and, he was our first, we were young, and the pediatrician had some concerns, and thank God that he did. But what unfolded over the next few days was this story of, okay, our son is really, really sick, had a pretty aggressive brain tumor, underwent surgery. From the time the pediatrician said, "I think we need to look at some things," to him having surgery was, like, 4.5 days. Very fast.
Wow. Wow.
And obviously that is, brings a lot with it, brings shock and fear, and we had all of those things, and it's taken years to work through them. But after his initial surgery, which is at our local children's hospital, which is another fantastic place, uh, we kinda got word that he was gonna be admitted to St. Jude for further treatment. The type of brain tumor he has, uh, it wasn't completely operable. They couldn't get all of it out with surgery, and so chemo, was going to be what was next. And so we, quickly became acquainted with St. Jude. And in fact, the very first interaction we had was something about me is I'm a planner. I think it makes me good at my job. I think it makes me a good business owner, but sometimes it gets in the way. And I was so worried, like, we got to call St. Jude. We got to make sure they have all of his paperwork and we got to get it all from the children's hospital. And like, what does that even look like? The process. I'm thinking about the process. And so my wife calls and like, "Oh, no, we already have everything from the children's hospital. We already know all about y'all, and, we know what day you're gonna come over, and you're gonna find this person at reception. They're gonna be there for you, and we're just gonna hit the road." And, anyone who has any experience at all with the medical system knows that that is just unheard of, right? Usually, it's tons of forms, redoing a bunch of forms, like, lots of just red tape and overhead. And with St. Jude, we were just able to walk in. We met our doctor the very first day. They already had been working on the game plan for his treatment. And so really from the get-go, we knew that St. Jude was someplace different and someplace special.
Oh my gosh. So you'll learn quickly, Stephen. I'm emotional. So
That's okay. That's
just,
okay.
yeah, bear with me. Bear with
No, no,
me.
no, and I know it's
'Cause-
a it's a big story. He's doing great today. I should have led with that. He's getting ready to be 13. He's in
wow.
school. He's an awesome young man. And that's because of St. Jude. So he underwent 18 rounds of chemotherapy, He finished chemotherapy before his second birthday, and St. Jude does this really cool thing called a No chemo party. People who
Yep.
follow St. Jude on social stuff may have seen these, where they throw a big party when you're done with your treatment. So he had one of those. We still have the T-shirt they gave him that all of his nurses and doctors signed. It's framed in a shadow box in his room, and the most amazing thing is all of that treatment and everything since. So he still has annual MRIs and checkups, and he had to have a follow-up surgery just about 2 years ago. All of that stuff has been paid for by St. Jude and through the donors, like people just like me and other people out there who donate to St. Jude every year. And so that's really why uh, we decided as a podcast network of like, we feel like we can really give back and bring awareness and bring actual dollars, bring support to this institution. Not only because saved my son's life, but because it saves the lives of tons of kids all around the world. And it's like, well, if we can just do a little part to make that possible, then we'll be putting some good back into the world. And that's kind of how it started, and over the years, it's kind of grown into this major campaign every year.
Oh, and when do you do this campaign every year for them?
So we do it in September. We actually generally kick it off in the end of August with the company's anniversary, but September is National Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, and so
Mhm.
we decided for a couple of reasons September was the right call. We had that month, that people are already kind of talking about it. We could tie into that. September is generally when Apple and other big companies start releasing their smartphones for the holiday season. So we have kind of a bump in audience in September, especially around our
Mhm.
iPhone coverage. And we're like, well, if this is the biggest month of the year for downloads and listenership, well, let's use that to our advantage as well. And it can speak to people who we only hear us maybe a couple of times a year. Let's tell them about St. Jude while we have their attention for a couple weeks. And so it all really fell into place really nicely to do it every September. And it really started by us just talking about it on a couple of shows. We would raise, 50, 60, $70,000, which, was fantastic. But then we got the opportunity 3 years ago to kind of come on board as a podcast partner at AllSac, which is St. Jude's fundraising organization. And we've been able to do a lot more and raise a lot more. We've raised over $1 million in the last 3 years. Uh,
Wow.
More than a quarter of that coming this year alone. And we're still, I mean, today's only the 10th, so we still got 20 days left. And so we've been blown away by the support that our audience and our listeners have shown St. Jude over the years.
That is incredible, and I am so happy your son is doing better
Thank
today.
you.
That is absolutely incredible, and I will not cry. I will not
It's
cry.
okay.
I will not cry.
It's just friends here. There's nobody watching. It's just the two of us having a conversation.
And St. Jude is such an incredible organization that are they share their research. That's what I love most about them. They
Mhm.
share their research. It's not a secret. We want to end childhood cancer. That's our mission. That's our goal.
Yeah.
And I love that you took the initiative to use your podcasting to make a difference and still support other children, especially from your experience. That is so beautiful. And I'm happy your son is doing good. And
Yeah. Yeah, it's
13 now, so
yeah,
he's in middle school.
he is.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
he's doing great, and he's got we've known families who have lost children, but we've known a lot of families whose children are still here, and that's because of St. Jude, right? In fact, not that long ago, a family that we met them because one of the times we were in the hospital, our rooms faced each other, and they had a little boy who was about our son's age, and he loved playing, like, hide and seek in the curtains with me. So I would just, like, sitting on the couch and thinking he would just be like I wasn't playing, he was playing with me, right? He'd, like, yank the curtains open to see me and laugh. And their son's doing really well, and we got to catch up with them not that long ago, and
Mm.
And so it's fantastic because there's this community of people who have all been through similar things. Having a diagnosis like this as an adult is terrifying. Having it when it's your child is somehow even worse. And
Yeah.
there's this community around St. Jude of people. I mean, I don't know how many people I know who work there who are themselves either pediatric cancer survivors or their children were patients. It's like, gosh, why would you want to be here? Like, this place could represent the worst time in your life. And in some cases, it does. But they're so drawn to the mission and what St. Jude is doing that there's no other place for them, right? That's where they have to be in a sense. And that's kind of how we feel about our fundraising. It's like, well, of course we would do this. Like, what other mission, what other cause would we put our weight behind? And there's thousands of good things around the world, and Lord knows in 2021 that we all have lots of options for giving. But St. Jude is special to us, and so that's why we do what we do, and have the unique opportunity to meet a bunch of these families and patients, and meet a bunch of scientists and researchers. We've interviewed some very, very smart people over the years. It's like, this person who's, synthesizing the DNA of something or other and like trying to explain it to me. And it's like, I mean, you're using words that I guess are sentences, but I don't understand it. Right.
Mhm.
And then again, like you said, all that stuff gets shared around the world. There's this really cool thing that I really love that St. Jude is doing is partnering with the World Health Organization to
Mhm.
focus on bringing cancer survival rates up around the world. So in the U.S., it's every 4 out of 5 children survive a diagnosis, but worldwide, it's actually only 1 out of 5, and the number is actually probably even worse because a lot of children may not be ever diagnosed. If you think about parts of the world where they lack the technology or the resources to do that sort of thing, and St. Jude's not happy about that, right? They want to make everything more accessible to everybody, and I love that it's in my backyard here in Memphis. That's just happenstance. It's really that their mission is around the world is why we love it. The fact that it's local to me is just a perk, and I get to benefit from that, obviously, and I get to meet a lot of people who come to Memphis for St. Jude. But I tell you, there's not an airport I go through back in the before times where I wouldn't see somebody in a St. Jude jacket or have a pin or something. Like, once you start looking for it, St. Jude is absolutely everywhere.
They they grab, those kids from anywhere. They will
Mhm.
send you there, and they cover all that expenses, which is the most beautiful thing about St. Jude. But it's really, it's community and the donors that are so selfless and so loving to support these kids and help these families going through the worst possible thing in their lives.
Yeah.
But, you know, they only need to focus on their child. They don't need to focus on, expenses for food,
Mhm.
living, all that. No, St. Jude's like, no, you focus on your baby
Yep.
and make sure you love them and cuddle them every single day, that they're fighting through this horrible disease. And just want to say $25 is a no more chemo party. Okay. $25. So if you want to do a good deed today, donate $25 to
Do it.
St. Jude today, okay?
Do it. Yeah.
But every dollar counts, and I can't stress that enough with any organization you're fundraising for, every dollar
Mhm.
counts. If
Eh
memory serves me correctly, $3 is a pediatric isolation gown. I believe $2 is bandages, every dollar counts. So
that's
I
right.
just want to stress that.
Yeah, and 80% of St. Jude's budget comes from donations like this. It's regular people giving. Uh, I've told the story before, but I'll tell it again. Many, many years ago, our son was probably 4 or 5. Um, you see these things around Halloween. Normally, like, you go into a gas station, you give a dollar, and you write your name, and they stick it up around the counter or something, right? So it's like this wall of stickers. Well, I
Mhm.
walk in this barbecue place in town that takes part of this campaign, and there were hundreds of pictures of my kid dressed up, and he was, like, dressed up in, like, a skunk costume for, like, a Halloween photo shoot. It's like I'm eating lunch, it's like, there's a lot of my kid in here just staring at me, it's kind of it's kind of overwhelming, And, it's those little things that they really honestly do add up, and so, yeah, while you think about St. Jude being this giant organization, it's possible because regular people give regular amounts of money, right? It's those $5, $25, $100 gifts that are really making the difference, and as someone who's been on the other end of that, the fact that you don't have to worry about getting a bill for it. I mean, even down to the point where, like, you get a meal card in the cafeteria, that's paid for by a donor, right? Uh, all of it being paid for means you don't have to worry about the financial situation that you're in. People, everyone has experience with that, right? Where you have some sort of medical expense and it's really quite honestly ridiculous.
Yep.
When you're a
Mhm.
St. Jude, you don't have to worry about that. And I can't even express like really what that means because not only do you not have to worry about the financials, when you're there, you really have the sense of the people around the world who give to St. Jude to make it possible. You feel their presence. Early on, when our son was diagnosed, we got a lot of letters in the mail, and just I don't know how these people got my address, but getting emails and getting letters and stuff. But you feel that with at the hospital too, with the donors of there's lots of people who have come together to make all this possible, and it's really powerful. It really is.
Yeah, and when I went to my first St. Jude, summit, which was a long time ago, 2018. 2018 in April, and I didn't know what to expect. I said, "I don't wanna walk in here and I'm just sad," and
Mm.
I don't wanna cry. I don't want the kids to see me crying. No, once you walk in there, it's colorful. You see the kids' artwork all over the wall,
Mhm.
blasted, so much happiness just in this whole building. You walk in, you're happy. You see these kids
Yeah.
smiling, even though they're going through the worst possible time in their life. And you see them. I saw so many kids on their wagons and they're just scooting around the hospital.
Mhm.
I said, they're just having a blast. I love this so much. When you go visit there, you're just going to feel so motivated to help these kids and use your platform to do better and
Yeah.
support them in their lives and their families. And I love going there. I love seeing the smiles on their face. I loved, being able to play games with them. They're really good at games. Okay, they're really good. Because I got beat up in Mario Kart a couple times,
Yeah.
and
It
I
happens.
couldn't be even more honored. Okay, I'm like, you know what? You can beat me every time I come here, and I'm gonna be so honored. Thank you.
Totally fine. Yeah, it
Yeah,
it is, it is a bright place, it's this
yeah,
place that doesn't even really feel like a hospital in a way, and
correct.
I think that's done purposefully. It's done to inspire the hope that St. Jude has. One of my favorite things on campus, when I'm down there, which is less than it used to be because our son is doing so well, but when I'm down there and they're giving tours, probably like the tour you were on, I
Mm,
love just, like, not being a creeper on the tours, but just kinda paying attention as they pass me or I pass them, because you see people having that first experience of being there and seeing what it's like, and you really captured it really well in what you said. It is this, like, bright, hopeful place, and the red wagons are a big part of that.
mhm.
They're, a great way to get around the hospital and lug your stuff around. We have definitely used them over and over the years, and, a donation can buy a red wagon for somebody to use. It's all of those little touches that make it such a special place, that is not just white tile floor, white tile wall, like, there are parts of it look
Exactly.
like a hospital, it is a hospital at the end of the day, but you also walk by patient artwork. There's this great hallway that has artwork done by teenage patients, and, so much of it just, like, anytime they change it out, I just stop and look at all of it. Giant aquariums, my kids were always big aquarium
Mhm.
fans, like seeing the fish, all of this stuff to make it a bright, hopeful place. 'Cause that's what it is. It is a bright, hopeful place.
Is the ABCs of cancer.
Mhm.
still hit me to today. I have pictures of them. It's somewhere in my albums on Google Drive, but every time I go there, they're at the top. I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to go back. I want to go
Yeah.
back because there's probably new artwork for the ABCs too. But unfortunately, with COVID and all that, I can't do that.
Yep.
So it
Yeah.
hurts. It really does hurt. I couldn't go last year, couldn't go this year, but you definitely want to keep those kids safe, especially right now during
Oh,
this
yeah.
time because they're
It
already vulnerable with the treatment they're getting. So completely understand, but
Mhm.
I miss that experience so much because it every time I come back home, I'm like, all right, time to fundraise. Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah.
We're going a full month of St. Jude Play Live. Let's go.
Yeah. And even going through, like, St. Jude's website, a lot of those photos are on there, and you can get a sense
Hmm.
for what it's like around the first floor of the patient care building are murals, and they're painted as the 4 seasons of the year. So as you walk through the building, you go from spring, summer, winter, fall, and it's, like, beautiful artwork. Some of that was done by some local people here in Memphis, and it's just, like it's just a cool thing to experience. But, yeah, the ABC walls, like, maybe someone can dig a picture up and share it on social, but it is this really neat thing of kids were asked to basically put together the ABCs of cancer. So some of them are about medication, some are about treatment, some are about hope, all different things. For a while, there was one about a medication that made someone sick to their stomach, but it was written in a really funny way, and I just got a
Hmm.
chuckle out of it every time I walked past it. So it's all those things that make it what it is.
And I wanted to go a little bit more into the detail of your story with your son.
Sure,
Before you got the diagnosis, did you know about St. Jude and its mission?
I did. Like I
Since you
said,
do live
yeah,
locally?
yeah. I do live locally, and so I knew about the mission. Uh, in college, did things like Up to Dawn, various things for fundraising, but it hadn't really sunk in just the scale of it. I think because it is, it's like this hospital downtown. It's not far from the Mississippi River, and didn't really ever have a reason to be down there. But then once you step foot on campus, you kind of realize the scope of it all. But I think those details that we really try to harp on in our fundraising, things like travel and food are paid for, the research is shared, those sorts of points I wasn't as familiar with. I knew
Mhm.
that they did what they did. I knew that they didn't bill people, but you don't really know what that means till you sit down and think about it, right? Or someone really tells you of like, oh, an MRI costs this, and your son's going to have 36 of them in 3 years. Whatever it is. Uh, it really kind of comes home, I think, once you hear somebody's story, which is why we base our fundraising around my family's story, because I can tell that story and people can experience it, and it gives you a view into the hospital and what it does that is more personal, I think, than kind of rattling off the numbers. And the numbers are impressive as heck, right? I'm not don't hear what I'm not saying, but yeah, really getting to know it firsthand and seeing the work that they do in kids' lives is it's almost hard to convey at times.
And with your son going through treatment at such a young age, how did you and your partner navigate that experience?
I won't speak for my wife. She did a better job than I did with it. I struggled with it for a long time. Just the all the feelings that come with it and the fear that comes with it. It took me a long time to sort through that stuff. To be perfectly honest with you, and we were fortunate in ways because we were local. We had all of our parents here, like both of our families are from here, and so everyone's here. So we had lots of great support. Our families, our friends, our church, people really rallied around us in a way that a lot of people who travel here maybe lack. And so we were really fortunate in that regard. But it really took me several years to really kind of unpack and deal with it all. And it was really scary, and it was very traumatic, and it definitely changed who I am, like, sort of on, like, the molecular level, I think. But at the same time, um, you know, I truly believe, like, my wife and I's relationship is stronger for it now. I don't think I would have said that then. I'll say it now, 12 years later. I know that our family is stronger for it. I know that we're better parents to all three of our children. Our son has a little sister and a little brother who have been born since he entered treatment, and I'm just so glad that they know their older brother because that wasn't promised to us, at all. It's really promised to no one, but in that situation, it's specifically not promised to you. And so we've been able to see all the blessing that's come out of it in the years since, and that has helped reconcile it in my mind that, yeah, this was really crummy, but we got to meet amazing people at St. Jude, meet amazing families, uh, really see what can happen when people rally and people believe in something. And so for us, it's made us better, stronger people. Um, Maybe not in the way that I would have wanted, but in the way that
Yeah.
I think ultimately is why we are where we are today, if that makes sense.
Mhm. It makes complete sense. It does, because I'm tearing up. It made sense, all right, Steven. But, I'm so honored that I get to hear your story, and your family is doing amazing, and you have 2 more wonderful babies in your life too, so you
Yeah,
have 3
it's
amazing kids. That's
chaos
awesome.
here all the time. Yeah, 2 middle schoolers and a first grader, so it's bonkers.
Oh, wow,
Um,
yeah.
but they grew up knowing about St. Jude, right? Especially our daughter, who was born actually the month after our son into treatment. They St. Jude is as much as part of their story as it is his. They're as patient siblings, and St. Jude even has programs for patient siblings, right? Like it's so easy, to kind of like
Really?
forget about the siblings, or like just kind of like, hey, we got to deal with this like fire over here. With
Mhm.
it's hard and you don't want to do it, but it's what happens. And so St. Jude also has a lot of great stuff for siblings of patients, a lot of good resources for parents. Like there's a school in the basement at St. Jude.
Oh, wow.
And if you're in town for treatment, especially if it's something like leukemia or maybe you're in treatment for a long time, they partner with your school at home and kinda help oversee that education is still going on. For us, because we were local, we've been able to rely on them and ask questions of them as we've dealt with, various ramifications of our son's treatment, especially, now that he's school aged. And it's like all of these things that I would have never have thought about when he was diagnosed. I never would have thought about, well, how do we know like what school is going to be best for him? Like, how do we deal when his younger siblings have really, really hard questions about what happened before they were born? All of that stuff. St. Jude is there to serve families through all that as well. You don't get that at other places, like I can tell you. Um, and St. Jude has all of that stuff to completely care for the whole family, not just the patient, not just the case, but sort of the whole family.
I didn't know they had programs for siblings and parents. I
Yeah, it's
had
it's
no idea.
yeah, it's fantastic. Our siblings have gone to several like sibling day things, and we've been able to talk to professionals at St. Jude about, okay, like how do we talk to our other kids about this? How do we talk to our son about it? Because he doesn't remember his treatment because he was so little. And being able to talk to people at St. Jude who specialize in these things, who have the training, who have the experience. So you don't have to go through those decisions alone, right? And very often those things may happen years after treatment. They did for us. Um, but even now, our son's been out of treatment for 11 years. They still follow him. He's part of the St. Jude Life Study, which is tracking long-term side effects of chemotherapy and radiation and other
Mhm.
cancer treatments. And so even now, even though the active part of his cancer story hopefully is behind us forever, uh, St. still very much involved in all these different aspects, and it's comforting, right? It's like this sounds silly, but I promise you it's true. Like going to campus, if it's for his annual checkup or some random thing they wanna do, or if I'm just, down there picking up a prescription, like, it feels like coming home every time, and I don't know many people who would say that about a hospital experience, but St. Jude is not every hospital.
Sure not. Wow, that's incredible. And I just want to thank you, Stephen, for sharing
You bet.
all of that with us. We're so happy to hear all the good news and your family's doing great. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
And St. Jude is such a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful place. It's unreal almost, when you think about it, you're like, this place is doing, work of the angels.
Mhm.
Is this place real? I when I first heard of St. Jude when I was younger, I'm like, no way.
Yeah.
That's a real place? Are you sure that's not, in a movie or a show and they made it up? No, it's a real place doing
It's real.
work like angels.
Yeah,
And
and that
oh,
work's all taken care of by donors, right? That's why we
yeah,
do this, so why we come back to it every year, because this stuff's really important. The families that have diagnosis similar to my son's, they are getting the treatment they're getting because they learned from our son, and, one day, I truly believe with all my heart, like, this won't be a problem anymore, like, St. Jude mission will be complete, but until then, it's up to all of us to let that work continue, right? And that's, why, like, on the tech podcast, we talk about this because we can reach this audience, and it takes people all types of work and life and geography and background, everything, um, because honestly, pediatric cancer doesn't care what you do for a job or where you're from or, your background. It can We've met families from all over the world, uh, all over the United States, all over Europe, and it is that sort of international take on this that there's a beautiful mirror there, I think, between St. Jude treating people from all over the world and sharing their research all around the world, and people all around the world supporting it. It's not St. Jude isn't Memphis's, it's not the United States, it is the world's miracle. And when we get to talk on our shows and people around the world listen and we see donors from all different countries, that's really cool. Like it feels
yeah.
really good, especially in our modern era, to have something that people from all around the world join and sort of walk in one direction together. And that's what we try to do in our fundraising, and that's what St. Jude's doing every day.
It's a privilege to be able to do that. And I love the work that you're doing. And I'm so, so happy that I learned a little bit about you. So we can definitely, help support that every year during September.
That'd be
And
fantastic.
yeah. And I wanted to talk a little bit more about the event that's coming up this
Yeah.
month on the 17th, the podcastathon. Can you tell us more about that?
Absolutely. So our campaign runs all through September. Uh, we have a Tiltify page up at stjude.org/relay. But the podcastathon is sort of the high water mark of the campaign. It's sort of the big event. It This year will be 8 hours live streamed on the Relay FM Twitch channel, and we host sort of the idea was this old time variety show, but like with our podcasters and our sort of content, and but with the wacky stuff you'd see on like an old time variety hour, on a Friday night or something. And so this
Hmm.
will be the 3rd annual podcastathon. Usually my business partner, Mike, who lives in London, comes to Memphis for it. Can't do that this year because of the pandemic, but we are gonna have 8 hours of live stream video. 8 hours is a long time. It'll be the longest we've done, but, which seemed like a really good idea 6 months ago. I was like, "Yeah, we'll do 8 hours," and now it's like, "8 hours is all day, dude. Like, what are you doing?"
Yeah.
But, it'll be from 12 to 8 p.m. Eastern Time, at twitch.tv/relayfm, and we're gonna raise a bunch of money for St. Jude. We're gonna have people on from the hospital. I got to
Oh,
interview a patient, and her mom, and it was just amazing and humbling to speak to this family. My partner interviewed, a doctor at St. Jude who's working on some really, like, cutting edge scientific stuff, which again is, like, pretty over my head, but I've seen the interview and she did a great job explaining it to, normal people who understand normal sized words. Um, and a lot of fun and games and some other stuff that we're holding back as a surprise, a couple of really big things, but it's fantastic. We've had, thousands of people watch the previous 2 years. Last year, the podcastathon, we raised $100,000 during that one ended up being about 7 hours. It was supposed to be 6, but I held us on the air until we met our campaign goal. And of course, the control room is like in my ear of like, "Hey, what do you do?" I was like, "Oh, no, we're gonna keep going." Um, and we get my end of it at least will be hosted from the St. Jude campus. So they've got a studio there, so I get to be on campus and work with a bunch of amazing people who produce this great content. If you see a video that St. Jude puts out or like a YouTube ad or last year there were some ads on ESPN. Actually, my wife and I were in one of them, which was weird. I would like get texts from people I went to high school with who I haven't talked to in 20 years and be like, "Did I just see you on ESPN?" I was like, "Yeah, you did.
That's
Uh,
me.
what's up?" We haven't talked since
Mhm.
2002, but cool. Good talk. Um, St. Jude has all these amazing creative people, who work on the AllSack side of things who generate all this amazing content. And so we get to work with that team, with the Play Live team, who are all amazing, and put this big event on. And it was just a dream for Mike and I, my partner at Relay, to do something like this. And they were, all on board with this sort of wacky idea of again taking this sort of old style telethon, variety hour type show, but modernizing it, putting it on the internet, and I look forward to it. I look forward to it every single year. It really is like the most fun work day I have a year, to
Yeah.
do this show, and, you can see behind me there's a computer that's lighting up that's full of bouncy balls. That was
Mhm.
you know how some, campaign things will have, like, a thermometer and it fills up? Like, between you and me, that's kinda boring, I think, like, thermometer? So I took a computer from, like, 1995 and cut a hole in the side of it and put bouncy balls in it. So that's how we filled it up. That's how we gauged our progress last year. So we just do weird, wacky stuff, and it's funny, and this year there's a lot of challenges and stuff that are gonna be involved. So we'd love people to come check it out. We'll be there all day on the 17th.
Perfect. And we have our Control Plus Stream Kit extension. Make sure you hit the follow button on the Relay FM Twitch channel so you tune in to that amazing event on the 17th.
Yeah, just
And
oh
what
gosh,
was the
that's
start
one
time for it?
that's
I'm
1
sorry.
week from today. What has happened?
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
I just, like, caught the date out of the corner of my eye on my screen. I was like, "Oh gosh, that's 1 week from today." Uh,
Yes, it is.
the show will run from 12 to 8 PM Eastern Time.
Okay, perfect. Now you have the date, you have the time chat. Make sure you tune in and go support.
Yeah.
And is that usually the main event that you do for September? Or do you
It
have any
is.
other
So
events month long?
yeah. So our campaign, we talk about St. Jude on all the different podcasts. So the shows that I'm on, I kinda share my story, but, uh, people across Relay and some other friends of ours in the industry, we'll talk about St. Jude during the month, and that drives a lot of the donations. Just people listening, seeing a link in the show notes in their podcast player, and going to donate directly on the page. But the podcastathon, the idea was to kind of have something really different from our normal content. Like Relay is an audio company. Like we don't do video podcasts. We don't do,
Mhm.
Relay has a YouTube channel, but it's just like one thing posted there a year. We're an audio company, and so we're like, well, what if we do video like one time a year and do it really big?
Mhm.
And so that is sort of the big event. I know a lot of our listeners will donate during the podcastathon because it's kind of a fun community thing. We'll have a bunch of people hanging out in the chat, and a bunch of Relay FM hosts and other people will come on for different segments and different games and stuff. So it's great, and it's really the only thing we do like this throughout the year, and so it's fun to do something really different and to do it for such a good cause, and to get to do it on campus is just a bonus for me. So
Yeah.
it's neat to be able to share, St. Jude's story in video form and with the interviews and a bunch of, videos the team has been working on. So it's gonna be a lot of fun this year.
That's amazing. And I do have the command in chat to check out Relay FM, and it directly goes towards the shows. Can you tell us a little bit more about all the different shows that Relay FM has?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, sort of the bread and butter is covering consumer technology. So shows like Clockwise or Connected or Upgrade, mostly
Mm.
covering the Apple ecosystem. We've got a show named Material that covers the Google ecosystem, so Android, Chrome OS, Google's web properties. And then we have some shows that are a little bit different from that. So we've got shows like Focused and Conduit that are mostly about productivity. We have a show called The Pen Addict, which is about fountain pens and stationery. That's not particularly for me, but a lot of people are, my partner's a host on that. And in fact, that show is getting rated next year will turn 10 years old, which is incredible. They've had an incredible run that
Wow.
predates Relay as a network even. And so they're fantastic. So really, Liftoff is about covering the space industry. A show called Presentable that covers design. So we have a lot of
Ooh.
shows again covering mostly nerdy topics. Like we don't have any shows covering sports or current events or anything, but these nerdy topics that people on the internet are interested in. And it's just been it's just fun. It's fun to get up every day and make cool stuff with my friends. That's really kind of why we do this. And Relay's really become a family over the years, us and our audience and everyone involved.
That's incredible. I can't wait to tune into some of those. Those sound really, really fun. And now I can get a little bit more into IT again and keep up with
There you
all the
go.
new stuff happening
Yeah,
because technology advances every day, chat, every
it's
single
true.
day.
It is true. A good show to maybe to start with, that's if you're not big into the tech scene, is a show called Ungeniused. It's a show my partner and I actually do together, and he and I talk about weird stuff on Wikipedia, and all the topics are chosen by the audience. So I have this long Google Doc that's like 8 pages long of suggestions. I could do an episode of Ungeniused every day for like 5 years and not run out of topics. There's so many on
Oh
the
my
list.
goodness.
And so we both go do research and we write a script and we cover weird stuff on Ungeniused. And like the average runtime is like 8 minutes. And so it's kind of the idea is like, you know, very quickly learn something, weird about, this boat crash in 1886. Or, we just did recently we did the Voyager records, which is kind of space themed, and we did the San Francisco Cable Car Company. That was the most recent one we
Oh.
did. It's like I had no idea that dated back 150 years, but turns out a guy and his dad who knew about wire rope were like, "What if we hook it up to a carriage?" And then they invented the cable car, and now you can go ride one in San Francisco.
That is so cool. I love it. Thank you so much for, the information on those shows that you offer. So, chat, make sure you tune in. Choose a show, tune in, okay?
Do it.
And yeah. And, I wanted to close out a little bit about your experience using the Tiltify platform for
Yeah.
your fundraising efforts every year.
It's been absolutely fantastic. We love being able to, and our audience is huge into the idea of milestones. And so we just hit one in the campaign yesterday, and people in our Discord for Relay FM members, someone came up with a challenge of like donate $10 for every domain name you own, and that like challenge just between and it's not me coming up with that. It's like happened organically in the community. We hit the milestone because we were really close to it. Um,
Mhm.
Also, that cost me like $370, which hurt a little bit, but it's for a good cause for the kids. I have too many domains, is what I learned. Um, and so the milestones have been absolutely huge for us. Unlocking, live streams, or one of our hosts had this YouTube channel he used to do, and then he kind of moved on from it, but he had one video he never released. And so the next milestone is me releasing that video that he never did.
Oh
And
my
so I talked
goodness.
with him. I had permission. I'm not a pirate, but the milestones let us personalize things in such a fun way. It's been huge. And then on the tech side, we have an audience that's a little bit nerdier than most, and so having things like Apple Pay
Mhm.
support, people loved. Before we used Tiltify, we were on another platform that didn't offer those things, and I don't know how many emails and tweets I got of like, I really want to use Apple Pay. I want to use these other things, and that makes it so easy, and it obviously makes it super secure and it's like fast. And if you're on an iPhone, you just do it with your face. And so from the tech side, our audience is also really happy with it because they can pay how they want to pay,
Yeah.
and the website works great on mobile. And we've just loved the ability to really make the Tiltify page in a way is like part of the campaign. Like it's people are checking it, I think, many, many, many times a day. Like, someone in our don't tell your dev team this, but someone in our Discord like made an iOS widget that like pulls data off the page and it's formatted really nicely on your phone. Like, just looking at
Ooh.
what's on the website and putting it in a widget format. And so it's been really neat to see people screenshotting it and sharing it. It's become part of the fabric of the campaign over the last few years.
Wow, that's awesome. I want to hear a little bit more about that widget. I'm going to have to join and see how that
Yeah,
looks.
I got it on my phone. It's fantastic, and being able just to see, see where we are. It's like,
Oh.
there we go. Um,
Oh my goodness.
it's
That
it's
looks
great.
really neat.
And yeah, it just showed up in our Discord when
Oh.
someone was like, "Hey, I made this," I just pulled these numbers off the website. I was like, "Cool, that's really awesome." And so
Wow.
the Tiltify's become like this like hub in a way that I definitely didn't expect, but I think is really neat. And people are very into when we're hitting the next goals, when the next stream is, checking the schedule. And so it's really been a fantastic tool for us.
Oh, that's thank you so much for using our
Yeah.
platform for your events and all your fundraising efforts for St. Jude. And we're so happy to have you a part of our community. And thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me and the community today. We are so excited to support your mission every year and support your podcast and all the different shows you offer. And Stephen, I hope you have a great rest of your day. I really, really, really appreciate your time today because I know you're busy
Yeah. No, no,
and I
thank you
know
for
you're
having me.
gonna
And
take down your setup and everything too.
yeah, it's a very busy, I feel like the podcast on like everything I own goes to the studio, and getting ready for that. And we're doing this thing this year where every $500 raised, you can see them over my shoulder, maybe these cartoon faces. So that's
Oh,
me,
I think I
and
have
that's
them cropped out, but
that's
let's
my
move
business
them.
partner, Mike.
Mm,
If you
I
crop out a little bit,
love
and we are putting
yeah.
stickers of those. So I have a bookcase in my office that's covered in like I don't even know how many stickers of that, and it's very upsetting. So like, and our audience loves that. We're posting on social, and um,
Uh-huh.
it's just it's a fun month. So thanks for having us, and thanks for giving us the tools to make it fun for everybody.
You are so very welcome. Thank you for utilizing them. Milestones are so fun.
Oh
My
yeah,
favorite, just want to say, my favorite incentive is polls. I love polls. Polls are the best. I don't know if you utilize polls at all with
yeah.
your
We do
event.
we do during the podcastathon. So a bit of a
Okay.
tradition with this is as we raise money during the podcastathon, I will shave part of my beard down, and then we
Oh,
keep a poll open for a couple of days of if I have to keep a mustache or not, for the next month or whatever. So uh
amazing.
that is
Amazing.
the save or shave poll. So if you check us out on the 17th, you'll be able to vote to see what my facial hair is for the next month, and how my family treats me. So
Perfect. We will be there.
not everyone likes the mustache. I won't say who, but I'm married to her.
Oh. Oh.
I love the mustache. I think it's great. Not everyone agrees.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's great. It looks great on you. Well, we'll see. We will see how that goes.
we'll find out. Well, the last 2 years, the audience has said keep the mustache, so, it's probably
All
gonna
right.
stay, but
Might we'll see. We might change up this year.
yeah.
We'll see. So everyone make sure you follow Relay FM on Twitch. Tune in on the 17th. We have the Control Plus stream kit. If you hover over our stream, you'll be able to follow them directly through that extension. And we're going to go send some love to another community member. We're going to go raid Katie. Katie Peter Plays. And again, Stephen, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes. And if you want to check out Relay FM, the shows, the link is right there in chat. And we are going to raid right now. So make sure you copy that raid message, or you can create your own raid message with your own emotes, whatever you like to do. But let's go send some love. Let's go send some love. And Katie Peter Play's title of her stream is Cotton Candy Grapes. I have not heard of cotton candy grapes. Maybe I'm the only one that hasn't heard
That's
of
2 of us.
it? Ooh,
No idea.
okay, well, let's go ask Katie what are cotton candy grapes, okay? They're pretty good? Okay, Mocha Jones says they're pretty good. Wait, they exist?
It's news to
Where do
me.
you where do you get cotton candy grapes? Okay, we're gonna go ask Katie. How about that? Because she's the one that's starting the discussion. All right, you all have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your day. We're gonna send out that raid. Okay, thank you. Bye.